Hi, I'm Mr. Silverfox.
And I'm Mrs. Silverfox. And today we're making room on the swing set in a segment that we're calling Between Two Pineapples, where we interview other couples in the lifestyle.
This podcast contains adult content intended for the 18 and over crowd. If you are not 18, please come back when you're of legal consenting age. Welcome back, everybody, to Between Two Pineapples, interview number 3. I'm Mr. Silverfox.
And I'm Mrs. Silverfox.
We are here with two very special guests today, G Nessa from Hump Day Quickies, on location at the Sexpartment. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us back.
This is a continuation from Hump Day Quickies, where we were guests on their podcast, and we want to graciously thank you for your time and had an amazing time with you too. So thank you very much.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Definitely enjoyed it.
So being on the other side of this, it's our turn to take advantage of you.
We are very excited about this.
I'm a little nervous.
So our number one question to our guests is, what got you into the lifestyle? Whoever would like to take the lead in the reins, I'd love to hear what got you started.
I think G's story is a little longer than mine, so you can go.
Mine started a long time ago, back in college. Freshman year, my girlfriend and I were exploring different options. She was very open sexually. We absolutely had no idea it was a lifestyle or anything. It was just college mess around. And she was very open to me playing with other women. She was very open to playing with other women. It was no real interest in other guys at the time. That was a good time for most of freshman year.
Sure.
And then we were supposed to go whitewater rafting together. I had no desire to be in the great outdoors, so I came up with a lame excuse as to why I couldn't make it. And she ended up going with some friends. That night, she ended up hooking up with one of her friends and her friend's boyfriend. She came back all crying, apologetic, and I'm like, tell me more. I was very aroused at the thought of her doing something. All through high school, I was never like that. I never was interested in the idea of my girlfriend even talking to somebody, much less all of that.
Sure.
Just hearing her tell that story, I was like, oh, wow, I'm not angry.
I'm feeling a different kind of emotion.
We should hear more about this.
Do you think that opened up a door for voyeurism for you, where you had visualized it in your mind and then you actively wanted to watch at some point?
I would say it definitely did,
Okay.
because I had thoroughly enjoyed watching her with other girls. If we ever hooked up with somebody that was only into girls, I was like, cool, I'll sit over here and watch. Let's go.
Now, personally, I think we've really discovered our voyeurism as well. We very much enjoy watching at clubs and hotel parties. I got to stop and take a peek if something hot's going on.
Oh, for sure.
And I find it very erotic, so I can relate.
It was basically an open relationship all through college. And when we graduated, we came home, messed around with AOL Instant Messenger, looking for anybody who might be interested. And somebody suggested that we try a club. And we're like, well, what do you mean a club? And they're like, oh, yeah, there's this place that has a bunch of rooms that you can play in and a great big room where everybody hangs out and you bring your own drinks. And what? This exists? This isn't just finding people on message boards? Really? We went. I haven't looked back. It's been over 20 years of a handful of different relationships in the lifestyle, but just meeting amazing people. It's one of the few places I feel I can totally be myself. I've come at it pretty much every angle I could think of, looking to find even more new angles.
Well, I think that's what we appreciate most, is that everybody has such different experiences, and when they share experiences with us, it's like, oh, I'm interested in that. Can we try that?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I just find it very erotic, and I love that.
It's
very much
absolutely amazing learning everybody's sexual desires and how open everyone is.
Oh, it's rather liberating, to be honest.
It really
You know,
is,
I don't have
yeah.
anything to hide anymore, and that just makes everything so much easier.
So mine starts much, much later on in life. My first marriage, I was with him for 17 years before we started, pillow talking about his fantasy of seeing me with somebody else. Stayed that way for a couple years, actually, just pillow talk in the bedroom. And as we would be, having sex, he would bring it up. He would kind of go through a whole scenario of if this guy came into the room, what would you do to him? And verbally walk through it in the bedroom. And then finally, at one point, we just kind of thought, let's actually make this a real thing. Let's do this. So then we just kind of began looking for, or kind of going through a checklist of all the men we knew in our lives. And I was like, well, they have to be single. I don't want to be, have a guy cheating on his wife. He found a friend of his that was interested. So he had this talk with him, sat down and said, hey, do you want to fuck my wife?
Sign me up.
Lucky guy.
We were working on trying to get that going. But this gentleman was quite a bit younger, like in his 20s, still kind of in the prime of his life, just, having willy-nilly relationships with anybody. It ended up kind of falling flat. It never worked out. In the meantime, while we were talking to him, we also picked up 2 other possibilities along the way. And one of those possibilities was somebody that I worked with. That was the one that ended up working out because my husband at the time met the guy I worked with and felt really safe with him, thought this was a great idea. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up meeting for the first time. My first experience was at a hotel with this guy alone. My husband wasn't there. That went on for several hours that day. Then that started kind of a whole... okay, now we need to make some more clear-cut rules on how this is going to work because we weren't really sure. His fantasy was him seeing me with somebody, but because we had kids at home, it wasn't logical for us to, get a babysitter and set time up for both of us to go out. So it worked out that we could one would stay home. He would stay home. He would stay home and watch the kids while I played. But then I think feelings became evident that he wasn't really getting what he wanted out of the deal. And then ultimately, in the long run, our marriage was on the rocks to begin with. So adding this to the mix was not really the thing we should have done in the moment, but it opened my eyes up to the lifestyle and to being like more sexually free and able to have conversations that I think I ever would have had, prior to being exposed to lifestyle things. Yeah. For me and G, I just love that our relationship is what it is because of the lifestyle. There's like nothing off the table. We can talk about anything. And I think we probably have more generic fights, like who didn't do the laundry or fold the laundry or something like that, versus anything, sexual, like our relationships with other people, even flirting with other people. Those types of fights are, very few and far between, I think.
I would completely agree.
I think that's a big misconception that I hear from a lot of people that, don't you get jealous? Or like if he, no. Yeah. Why the fuck would I get jealous about that? We fuck other people. So that, like you said, the more generic arguments, it's who's going to take out the garbage. Right. Just like everyone else. But all of your little jealous conversations and fights that you guys are having, we don't have to have that. Yeah. And that it is, liberating is the best way to describe that, I think. Yeah.
So I have a tough question for you, Nessa.
Oh, boy.
Well, and it's regarding of your experience of getting into the lifestyle. You had stated that it was your husband's at the time.
Yeah.
Did you share an equal desire in the experience, or you wanted to give him an experience for the sake of you being a pleaser?
Correct. Yeah. The idea of it was actually very repulsive at first for me. I completely shut him down when he even when he first brought it up, and then playing with it in the bedroom kind of started to just open my mind up to the idea of it, and just the idea was fun enough to play with back and forth, and it didn't have to be real. But the idea of it being real was frightening because, and I've told G this, my biggest fear was that if he was in the room watching me with somebody else, I enjoyed myself more with this other person, or it appeared that way, at least, you know, in his eyes. Then I didn't know what that would do to our relationship. And I think that speaks to what type of relationship that was versus now, where I want G to see how much fun I'm having.
One of our favorite moments is when you will turn and look at me and give me that I am really fucking enjoying this eyes.
Yeah. So I think it just describes our relationship and how I felt in that relationship, that it was very important to me to please him, to make him happy. The idea of it started off as something that was there for him. But then after I started playing, I was enjoying myself. But I think that's also, goes to show I wasn't doing it for him anymore at that point. I'm not doing this the right way. This isn't how this is meant to go.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I started it off thinking that I was pleasing him and that I was doing this for him. And then kind of full circle came back to me. And now I'm in a relationship where it's very equal and we share in it. And I enjoy that very much.
Now, as far as you, G, it seems like you just dove in with the relationship in college. Is that true? You were very open-minded. Did you have any reservations?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember how we even approached the idea of another girl. I think the girl in the room next door, she mentioned she thought she was really cute. And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I mean, I've never done anything, but I might. And I'm like, well, okay.
Like maybe today.
And unfortunately, that girl became the official unicorn that we could never find or never reach.
Sure.
She was like, no, I'm a lesbian and I'm not entertaining somebody else. And I'm like, you do it yourself. And she's like, yeah, she won't even let that happen. But playing along with anybody that we could find at that point.
And that was just females at the time.
For the first year, it was just females.
Sure.
And then she had her one experience with the other guy. And then we kind of opened the relationship. Because the school I was going to, we kind of switched on and off every 3 months because of a co-op type program.
Okay.
So she would be in town for 3 months, and while she was in town, she was having sex with any guy there that was in. And then I would come back and pick up some girls, and then basically back and forth.
Sure.
Until
Awesome.
we graduated, and then found out that, wow, this is a lifestyle, and there are people that do this on a regular.
I'm curious how you decided to get into podcasting. Like, what made you think we should record ourselves doing the things?
I had never listened to a podcast ever before we got together.
Yeah.
She had mentioned that as she was learning about the lifestyle, she listened to a bunch of lifestyle podcasts, and it was another one of those, wait, there's lifestyle podcasts?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a big shock, too.
So I I shared with G several of the podcasts that I listened to. He liked them, but, and I always say this, in G fashion, he's like, we could do this better.
My big thing was there were every podcast focused around just one couple's story. After a while, that story just became monotonous.
Yeah.
And okay, I get it. You could tell. I mean, even in our podcast, as we're going through our stories from before, as some more are coming up, I'm going, this is going to start to get repetitive a little, I think.
Yeah.
And we're trying to put a new spin. Like I'll drop sounds in if I have them. Or we end up, a lot of couples come on and they end up telling the stories that we were part of. And it's like, shit, okay,
that's
how are we
cool.
going to retell this story later?
Right.
But we've done it a few times,
Yeah.
and so far it's gone over pretty well.
Now, you take a different approach to your podcast than we do, but in our point of view, we like the sexual liberation that you bring to it, where you actually talk about what you do as far as play activities. And, of course, we've wanted to, but we didn't know how to approach it. So coming onto your show gave us a different perspective and the ability to talk about it. We love it because we love reliving it with each other.
Yeah.
And being able to share that with two people other than ourselves is, I don't know, it's just so hot.
Then the process of figuring out how to do our podcast and the format, we were actually listening to a vanilla podcast by Wondery called the Apology Line. There was a guy in New York City who in the 80s set up a voicemail where people could call in and just leave their apology for something that they did so they could get it off their shoulders. And I'm like, what if we create a hotline where people in the lifestyle can go, hey, I'm going to tell this story that I can't tell any of my vanilla friends, but I'm dying to tell somebody the story. And so we set up a hotline number and then told all our friends that, hey, we're about to do a podcast doing this. And every single one said, I want to come on. We haven't had time to call any of the people that have called the hotline back. We're excited to do it.
Yeah.
And
still trying to figure out
even
technicalities.
the technology portion of it might be a little bit difficult. How much we're willing to give away and all that.
Sure.
So how long have you two been together?
I think we're approaching 3 years of
Three.
knowing each other. And
Yeah.
then we started dating about 4 months after we met.
It is no secret that we attend a lot of different types of events, but you yourselves are more club folks, but that's due to location and
we
your
have a
personal
club
life.
that we absolutely love here.
Yeah.
We attend it so frequently that the idea of going someplace else on our free weekend, it's like, oh fuck, what do we miss there? And
Right.
there'll be times that we would just miss an event just because we have the kids that weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, people are texting us what happened. We'll get a message from the ropes guy going, oh my God, you should have seen what I did. And I'm like, you motherfucker, how did you miss this?
Blasted kids.
Now, that's more of a shibari experience, gentlemen, because I am very interested in seeing the visual experience of it, and I love it. I think some of those guys have so much talent. It's amazing.
I can speak for Tommy, our ropes guy, and he is excellent.
He is a
one of my favorite things
ropes
to do.
expert and hysteria doctor. Because
shit.
back in the day when women were diagnosed with hysteria, doctors would give them an orgasm, a forced orgasm, to cure their hysteria. So what he does is he will tie them up and then pull out the wand and give them orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. And if you want to hear some fucking sounds, dig into episode 30 of season 1 on our podcast.
That's where it's at,
and you can hear somebody sitting over here screaming. There was a crowd of over 100 people in that room.
Oh, wow.
It was just sounds that we had never heard, and he still talks about it to this day.
Yeah.
The confidence he projects in that episode, too, just reassures me that, he's got a fair amount of experience. He knows what he's doing. I very much enjoyed listening to it. Funny story, the first time that you and I, G, had talked, you had reached out to me on SLS. We went back and forth, and then I gave you my phone number because, of course, I wanted to continue the conversation to be a little more fluid. But the moment you text messaged me, I was actually listening to Nessa having an orgasm on that episode. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to respond right now. I'm a little
Do I
focused
tell
on
him? Do I keep it a secret? I don't know.
And I just found that such a different format, but I was just entrapped by you both. It was very genuine. You have very genuine guests, and I love listening to you.
That's what amazes us is every single couple we bring in here, just the moments that they have reliving these experiences that were 6 months, 2 years, 5 years ago. They're just the memories that it brings back and the feelings that they share with each other. We've seen so many couples just open up to each other like,
Sure.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that's what you loved about it. This is great. I love that too. We need to keep doing this. And
Well, and retelling that stuff too, I think really, really heats up a room real quick.
absolutely.
Well, and we kind of give our listeners a window into our discussions in our show. We actually trail off in some of them because we're finding out stuff about each other, and the listeners get to listen to us discover those things.
Yeah.
And our biggest hope was just that people that were interested or people that were already in the lifestyle, maybe we brought up a point that just opens up a conversation.
Yeah.
And then they get something going. Whether it be sex positive or this is my fantasy, and getting these things out in the open, because I think there's just something taboo about sex within our society, and I don't know why. I don't know why.
Absolutely love getting the texts and the emails from people going, oh my God, we'd never looked at it at that angle. That we have friends that it takes them an hour to listen to a 30-minute episode because they will pause and, oh my God, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, same. That feels really good.
And there are couples that they're like, come on, it's Wednesday. We need to listen to it because they'll only listen to it together because if one of them listens without the other, they get angry.
Yeah.
We'll get random text messages when we have people listening, and they'll just start critiquing the whole
As they
episode
go,
or telling us, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. I didn't know how to approach it with my partner. So thank you for opening up that window of communication. Or we've had people, I forget what episode it was, where
the wife was messaging you and the husband was messaging me like, oh, holy shit, I can't believe you just said that. And she's messaging you like, oh, we were just talking about this the other day. And we both kind of were on the porch and looked at each other and said, well, who are you texting? Well, who are you texting? Well, hang on a second. We should just call them because this is ridiculous.
And that's exactly why we have everybody start their first episode telling how they got into it, because I know there's a ton of people out there listening going, I've heard about this. How the fuck do I get into it?
Yeah.
And
how do we do it?
Because everybody's story is different. It's one of these will click for somebody, and that'll be their window.
Here's
in.
1,000 ways that you can join us in the lifestyle. Pick whichever one is the most comfortable and take your fucking pants off.
Well, and in our season 1 ending, we go back in time and we talk to ourselves before we got into the lifestyle. Like, what would I recommend? We are full believers that what we do isn't for everyone, or how we approach it isn't for everyone. And I'm going to lead into my next question by prefacing mine with stating that we would recommend we would go to a hotel takeover first.
Same,
That's what we would say to ourselves, because that would be the experience that we would have wanted first. Now, I don't believe that you guys share the same point of view, so G, if I could start with you, what would you go back and tell yourself as far as a first-time event or a first step into the lifestyle? What would you recommend for yourself?
The worst part is for myself, I would be fine with anything. It comes down to what is your partner comfortable with.
Okay.
And I think that's the biggest key, because there's always going to be that one person that's down for far more than the other. So you got to grab that, okay, what comfort level is my partner going to have? For me, that's, okay, Nessa, what comfort level would you have? Because it's, again, I'll fucking go wherever. Let's do it. I'll demo. I'll experience anything. I don't care.
Sure.
In a perfect world for me, my first time would have been, now, mind you, I found my father's porn collection, and he had Debbie Does Dallas and Taboo, which every single scene is a group sex scene. And that was my first moment seeing sex.
Okay.
So the vision of sex in my head has always been multiple people. So
That's a great vision.
Exactly. And 16, 17, 18, it's like even just hinting at it. What do you mean? No, that's weird. No,
Yeah, where's all your friends?
okay. A perfect start in my world would have been that massive orgy and gone, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And I would have had that awkward moment of Linda Lovelace going, I can't believe I'm in here. But
I was happy the way I started with the club at a Halloween party, because
Now, this is you two together, correct?
no.
No. Okay.
yes,
Well, I mean, technically, that was the day we met.
Question mark?
It was the day we met. Yeah.
You actually, your start was in a hotel room, though. Your
That's
start
true.
was
That's true. I guess that
texting
can be
and then the hotel room.
I meant like more to a group setting, lifestyle setting. But yeah, I guess you're right. But I don't have a lot to compare it to, though. So I haven't been on a cruise.
I think if you had started your first experience in the club, I think you would have been overwhelmed. And I know for damn sure your husband would have been overwhelmed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I think the fact that you started on your own with a guy,
Yes.
with your husband not there, allowed to be yourself.
Yes.
That was a huge awakening for you.
Yes, I agree.
Do you remember what you both were dressed as on that Halloween that you met? I'm just curious.
I sure do.
I have
Yes.
to know. Curiosity would kill
I was
me.
a stewardess.
Oh.
And I was the bunny from the Toy Story 4 movie. So I was in a giant furry costume that made no sense whatsoever to the vast majority of the people there.
Did you leave it on all night?
Yes.
Good for
You
you.
unzipped it, though, at one point.
Oh.
Not much, no. I mean,
Well, my
just
hand
enough.
went down it.
that
Oh.
happened, yes. True.
So there may or may not be some furry exploration here that,
I
we'll
didn't
have to
even know
save for
I-
another.
And that was your first encounter together, or had you ran into each other prior to this?
We messaged briefly online
yeah.
as I tend to reach out to any new couple that's coming to the club
Sure.
just to say hi. So my partner and I, but me running the site, reached out to them and said, hey, we'd love to say hi. When I saw her in the club, I walked around like 8 times hoping she would say hi, and she didn't. And then I was talking to one of my friends, and he goes, oh, you got to meet this girl over here. Come meet Nessa. And I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yes, thank you, friend.
That's such a good idea.
It's about time.
So my fiance at the time and I walked over, met them. Nessa and I spent the next hour dancing, kissing, grinding.
Yeah.
In a giant bunny
Oh,
suit.
yeah.
At some point, I'm going to ask for pictures. I have to
don't
know.
know. Do you have
I have to
pictures?
imagine I don't have pictures, but I have to imagine I still have the suit. But we messaged back and forth a little bit after that. About 2 months later was when everything started going downhill in her relationship, and they backed out of the lifestyle. So, all right, well, I'll wait. And a few months after that, I just sent a text checking in. Hey, how are things going? And she said, well, I left him. I said, well, I need someone to join me on a cruise. Are you interested?
Oh, shit.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Yes, 1,000 times
So
yes.
Our first date was a cruise.
That's
That is
fucking awesome.
Now, just a vanilla cruise, or
It was actually a Disney cruise. My daughter's 16th birthday, she took 4 of her friends, and I needed another adult to get a second room.
Yeah.
And
I love that. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
now, just so we know,
Oh, that's a
we
fucking
are
stewardess
looking at the picture
outfit.
of Nessa. Wow,
God bless America.
God, you're a sexy gal. Wow,
Look at the way that skirt fits on her butt. Like, okay.
you're doing things
Okay.
here this morning.
I remember that now. And she had a drink. She was drinking Mighty Swell peach flavored
Seltzer. Yeah.
I still remember the taste of kissing her that night. And
The peachiness.
and when she breaks out that drink, it's still like a massive flashback for me.
You get the Pavlov
my
experience.
God.
Dick gets hard, mouth starts watering. We play that game with smells too.
Oh,
Perfume and
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it just adds to the experience, but I love the smell of a woman, from her lotion to her hair to her perfume to herself and all the tastes that are associated with it. Should I be able to enjoy that? So
that is true. Sometimes after a play session, we will compare top lips, and that heats things up all over again.
and waking up in the morning just to be able to smell my experience is highly erotic. I don't want to get too in detail,
Been there for sure.
but I thoroughly enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I have another question. I know somewhat I came about, but please let our listeners know, how did the Sexpartment come into play, and how did it begin?
About 2 or 3 years before Nessa and I got together, my fiance at the time had a Facebook friend who was subleasing their apartment. Coming out of college, my first design was this actual building, and I saw it on. She showed me the pictures. I said, "Oh my God, that's the building," and I said, "We have to get it." She said, "What the hell are we going to do with it?" I'm like, "I don't know, and I don't care. I need that apartment." And we got it, and it became a place where we could bring other couples, and mostly at that time where she would meet other single guys and take little videos and send them to me. And that it kind of grew from there after Nessa and I got together, because at that point it was never really more than one couple. But when Nessa and I got together, we started hosting pre-parties, and we would have 4, 5, 6 couples just here hanging out. And it's become, I'd almost call it a safe space for any couple to come in and just be themselves.
Sure.
And we can go out to dinner, act normal, and then knowing that we have a place to go back to.
Now, we did have a wonderful evening last night, going out to dinner with you two, and you led us right down that path. I'm admittedly just a big flirt, so
Yes.
I enjoyed
I didn't notice.
I know. You are.
I did.
I enjoyed having the opportunity to flirt with Nessa all night long. It was
I enjoyed
amazing.
being doted on.
Oh, I do have another question. It's we do a segment on our show called Swinging Forward, where it's, we take experiences we want to have or things we want to try. It's just kind of if the opportunity presents itself, this is a thing that I want to do. I know that you've been in it a long time, but is there something together or separate on your sexual bucket list that kind of sits there that you want to experience?
I have always fantasized about watching my partner in a gangbang.
Okay.
I have never seen a partner with more than 2 guys at one time. I have fantasized for 30 years now, about seeing my partner with 3, 4, 5 guys at one time.
Okay.
And we have an idea for a podcast that I am dying to make happen. And she just recently said, "All right, fine, we can do it." So at some point there will be 5 single guys here, and one by one they will take her into the back and get 10 minutes alone with her before coming back and telling their story of what they engaged in.
Oh, that's awesome.
This will be moments where I don't actually get to see what's happening. So I'll hear about the story from the guys that did it. After all 5 have had their turn, we all go back and they all get that opportunity, and I get to watch her with the 5 guys.
That's hot.
Now, she has, spoiler alert, she's been training lately.
I've been
So
training.
we had an event at the club that she attempted to give 3 blowjobs at one time to see how she could handle that part of it.
How is that? I feel like 2, okay, fine, but 3,
It's a
somebody's
lot.
going to be smacking me in the forehead. I don't know how that, maybe a foot gets in there. I don't know.
My training was 1 in each hand and 1 in my mouth, which the hardest part was the 1 in my mouth because I didn't have my hands to, give
Sure.
some control.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very nervous about the whole idea of a
Yeah.
gangbang. I am very turned on when I think about a gangbang.
Sure.
But my biggest thing and I tell this to G all the time with fantasies in general for me, I like fantasies staying fantasies. Like I
Sure.
like
Sure.
having the perfect setup in my head where, nobody's sweat is dripping on you and like all the real life things
Yes,
that
yes.
truly happen that kind of take away from
The switching
Yeah,
positions
all
and the
that
body
other stuff.
sounds and yeah.
And then I just like keeping it a fantasy. So my biggest fear as we go into this, and it's a great time, but it kind of also deters from what I find attractive about it or sexy about it or whatever.
Right,
I
right.
look back on it and I remember all the stupid little things.
And in my world, anytime there's a want or desire, I go above and beyond to make that happen. So,
Yes, this is true.
so the idea of keeping fantasies a fantasy is just like
That's not you.
I
Why
don't
would you
understand.
do
that?
What do you mean? What's the point of a fantasy if that's not a goal? I don't-
Sure.
Now, personally, when it comes to play experiences, for me, there's just some I don't share with anyone. They're mine. Nobody gets to get them but me.
Okay.
And I've had people ask, do you think this will make the podcast? And I'll tell them no. This was so special to me. I don't want to give it to anyone.
I don't know if it's full experiences, maybe pieces, parts that I would keep to myself, like things that I found to be.
Like we have no problem going through the stories, but there are moments that happen in the stories that we don't share.
Sure.
Be it to protect somebody's identity because, okay, this is blatantly
This would
obvious,
be-
this person, or just a moment that happens that, okay, that might not be exactly what people want to hear, and they
Right.
won't understand that sounds weird, but it's
Yeah.
not. Don't worry.
Yeah, in the moment it was
all
not
right.
weird.
Yeah, or taken out of context.
Right.
That if you weren't
Yes.
there, you might not have understood.
But no, we're both very much open books.
Yeah.
And
I have had experience without a context from the podcast where somebody's just come up blatantly accusing me that I was talking about them. And
Yes, that was so awkward.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking to myself, no, you weren't even a thought.
Yeah,
and,
no,
and I would never
sorry.
do that to you. That can get convoluted at times with individuals, but, we don't want anybody to ever feel some sort of way other than, amazing about what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do pull back a lot, and I edit out some things that we say just because
Yeah.
I don't want things taken the wrong way.
Sure. Well, and sometimes it's easy for it to just fall out of your mouth, and then when you hear it back, you think, fuck,
yeah.
actually.
And
Maybe not.
there'll be times that Nessa's talking and she's going on and on and on, and she goes, "You know what? Never mind. Just erase
Yeah.
all of that.
No.
We're not. Let's talk about something different."
yeah,
And that happens between us two. And you saw it last night where there was a moment where it was like, actually, we're not going to talk about that because that takes away a little bit of my power. What about you, Fer? Do you
Swinging
have
forward.
do you have a bucket list
bucket
thing
list.
that you?
I don't.
Okay,
It's
that's okay.
And we actually asked this question to our guests in a similar fashion, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even have an answer for
I
that.
can't even think of one.
That's the thing. You don't fantasize. You
I don't
live in the moment.
I live
and-
in the moment, pleasantly surprised when I like something that
Sure.
I didn't know I was going to like, or I'll try something once and then I'll say, yeah, not again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
tried it.
Didn't like that.
Not so much.
Yeah. So no, I don't really have anything I want to specifically check off. Trying to think though.
Another thing we want to do is travel. Travel with a group of couples
Yes.
to
Yes.
either
That-
a
us
resort
too.
or
Yeah.
even
Something.
a
Yeah.
non-lifestyle resort
Yeah.
where we can just spend the day with a group of people that get
We
us.
have fun with.
Yes,
Yeah.
and,
And
take the
then-
lifestyle with us.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
Even
at
if
night,
it's not.
here we go.
Yes, yes.
We talk about having destination friends and that being one of our bucket lists. But what you just stated is something we talk about in private. I don't want to call it a core or a clique,
Yes.
but at the same time, having a group of individuals that everyone is super comfortable with is something I strongly desire.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a comfort in being able to communicate. Like, I don't have to want to have sex with all of them, but if we can just openly communicate, that's going to make me feel sexier. It's going to make shit. I mean, yes, you. Yeah, you fucking do.
And again, even between us, we're different and we want different things. And there's just some things I can't provide for my spouse.
A vagina.
Right. To
No
start.
offense.
But Mrs. Silver Fox wants to be more involved in the BDSM side. I really have no desire. I've watched it, I've seen it, and I've watched her participate in it. Now, watching her enjoy it is amazing, but it's not something I actively want to be a participant in.
Yeah.
And with saying that, are there things that, I'll start with you, G, that you want to see or personally want to experience that maybe Nessa doesn't, and vice versa? Do you have that? But you seem extremely open-minded to every
I
scenario.
am open to anything, and if there's something that she's going to go, God, that was hot, I want to do it, I'm like, yes.
Yes, let's do it again.
I'm surprised this hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Was that a period? All right, let's go. We're done.
Was there a pause in that sentence? Let's start moving.
I'm open to try anything at least twice.
I love that saying.
Because, when we go to restaurants, for the fear of not that we won't go back, or if I'm missing an item, I will order just about everything on the menu and just try it and go, okay, good. I found the dishes that will make me come back. Or, okay, cool, we've tried it all and I have no reason to go back.
Right,
And it's a good way to get them to treat you like you're a critic, because they're like, why is he ordering everything?
Yeah.
There have been times that I've looked at a menu and gone, okay, I don't want this one and this one. And they go, what do you mean? I said, everything but that and that. There's only two of you. It's okay. Don't worry.
Challenge accepted.
Keep it coming.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Nessa?
Let's see. Hardcore BDSM stuff is probably a no for me. I do like very lightweight BDSM, like lightweight impact play, I guess. Some
Sure.
impact play. But
has there been anything that I brought up that you're like,
no, I don't think so. I think we tend to be mostly on the same page when it comes to playing, as far as what we enjoy seeing.
which is my favorite, is seeing you. You enjoy being seen?
Yeah, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. I get it.
But I will say I have found a surprise thing for me was that I enjoy watching you play.
And when we first started, she didn't think that would be all right. And it was like, I don't really want to watch you. I was like, cool. I will sit in.
It's
the
not that I
corner on the
didn't
couch.
want him to play. It was just that I didn't think I cared to watch him.
Sure.
But now I very much enjoy watching him please another girl, because I think I've been on the receiving end of that. I know what that feels like. So
I know exactly what she's
why
feeling
her
right
face
now.
is making that weird contortion. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I like to see.
I try to be open-minded enough where if I can, sometimes I'm just so into the moment with the individual I'm with that the other people I just lose track of. Mm-hmm. But in some cases, I like to try to make the person I'm with closer in some way, turn them in such a way to see if they want to look at their significant others and what they're going through. So I try to be mentally aware.
That was a really good move that you did. I
know
know the one that you're talking about.
Just enough where maybe somebody's within arm's reach or can make eye contact. I think that's so sexy.
Yep.
Or somebody else's hair is tickling your back all of a sudden.
If you're comfortable, I'd like to share something I saw last night.
By all means.
So there was a point where Nessa and I were playing, and she looked over at you, and you winked back at her and said you loved her. And she smiled at you. I will tell you, I was so turned on by that. Listening, of course, to Mrs. Silver Fox, with you. Oh my God, it was so hot. I had to take another round with Nessa. I was so turned on watching the three of you play.
As a matter of fact, we're like, all right, scene. And I start getting dressed.
I
Mrs.
literally
Silverfox,
said scene. Yeah, I thought we were all done.
Oh, well, or not.
Oh, hang
All
on
right.
a second. There's an overture here.
But watching you two, or the three of you play together, oh my God, just just was so hot. You guys were phenomenal to watch, so I appreciated that. I'm not sorry, Nessa.
To be sorry. There's
For the
nothing to be
second
sorry
round, it
for.
was so amazing with you.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Absolutely.
2 times.
Now, we did have a prediction that if, two podcasters got together and played, we'd open up a wormhole. I'm not sure we did that, but I'm sure we did expose the universe to something amazing.
Yeah, something phenomenal. Yeah.
As it should be exposed.
Is there anything else you guys want to share?
I think the main point of our podcast is very similar to yours, and that's letting any vanilla or curious person out there have a window into the fact that there are normal, everyday people that are becoming more open sexually.
Yeah.
Just because there is that stigma of that Key Party on that 70s show,
Sure.
or any other mainstream media that, oh my God, these are horrible swingers, with the exception of that Playboy TV show. And just creating a window into not just our lives, but the lives of people that we have met.
Yeah.
How freeing that this lifestyle can be.
It really is.
And that the judgment just isn't needed.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know what? We've all made this choice. We've talked about it together with our partner.
Yep.
We've created friendships that I didn't think would be possible. Just the number of people that we've become great friends with just through this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say that it's not gross or weird, and I think we're all responsible adults. We're all,
Sure.
I don't know, just living our best life.
Amen.
We say that a lot. Like, we are absolutely living our best life.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have to do the laundry and go get groceries, but at the end of the weekend, we're gonna fuck other people. That's why my life is better than yours. Join us.
And from G, your point of view, where you like beginners very much, I enjoy talking to them because you see the curiosity. They reached out to you. They aren't sure what to do. So I typically will respond back, let me lead. Do you mind? And then I start asking questions, gauging responses. And then I like the couple's interaction where maybe I'll go 24 hours before I hear back from them. And then they'll say, well, you really sparked something between us. And
Yeah.
we had to
love
have
that.
sex for 2 days straight till we got it figured out. And it's like, okay, I love that. Share that with me.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
had to
have
fuck
to
the
be,
answers out of each other on that.
and I don't have to necessarily be an active participant. We've had couples come to our house that we've just sat back and watched them.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden in the moment they left us and just reconnected right in front of our eyes.
Right.
And that was like, oh my God, that's so
That
hot.
is hot.
And then next
Yeah.
thing you know, Mrs. Silverfox and myself are wandering off like, oh, I can't
can't
just
watch that
We gotta
very
go
long.
too. Like,
Yeah.
this is phenomenal,
I can watch it a little, but there comes a point where I gotta get in there.
And our big thing with beginners is we know that we're not going to cross any lines. We are very open to whatever anybody else is open to.
Sure.
And we'll tell them at the very beginning, we have no expectations. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever speed you want to go, we are perfectly fine with that. And we know that we will be a good first step into the lifestyle that will make them want to continue and look forward to being in the lifestyle, as opposed to just picking up a random couple who's like, I don't give a fuck what you guys are doing.
Right.
I want to fuck her and let's go.
Yep.
And I see new couples getting sucked into that and then never see them come back. I kind of want to be that, hey, we're a safety net. And
Yeah, for sure.
Let's
Nice
enjoy
soft
that
spot
first
to
time.
land.
And we'll do whatever you want. If that means just a little bit with Nessa and then off on your own, great. If that means everything with Nessa, if that means everything with both of us, whatever.
Now, even with people that are experienced in the lifestyle, I still like to ask questions to gauge where people are at.
Sure.
Nessa, I think you can attest to that. I did ask every step of the way,
Yes.
and I just find that to be my comfort zone, not necessarily the person I'm with, but I'm respectful enough that, hey, I want to escalate this with you. Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
And, I'm ready for the disappointment before I ask the question. I'm ready to
Yeah.
hear no every single time.
And I'm almost the exact opposite, where I will sit here, and if you want me to take off my clothes, tell me that. If you want to do something,
Yes.
tell me that. And if you don't ask me that or don't say that, I will hang out all night. Girls have come up to me afterwards and gone, hey, why didn't you do anything? I said, because you didn't ask me. And I wasn't going to push it on you. And you know what? I'll be here next week. And if you want to continue
try
this,
again.
now you know.
Well, we like to pride ourselves on the ability to read a room, listen to what people are actually saying to us.
Yes.
So I do believe that came up in conversation last night, because typically I
And thank
don't
you for that.
take the lead.
Nessa. I needed that.
But once I had heard that, like, we'll sit here and talk all night, or once I got to a point comfortable enough where I really wanted to move forward, engage that, I took what you said, because typically that's not my role. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me their comfort level.
Right.
That was kind of a role reversal for myself last night.
Oh, okay.
And that was my first time really trying to take the lead and close the deal, for lack of a better term. And I just
Our
wanted to
opinion
engage.
is if we've invited someone to the Sexpartment, that is, we're inviting you to the fucking Sexpartment, we're down. And if at any point you're down, let us know and it can happen.
Sure.
There's a bedroom there, there's a couch here, there's a counter there. Whatever you want to do, we're in the Sexpartment, we've invited you, you tell us what you want to do.
Sure.
And what an amazing experience. I mean, just the ease of being able to speak with you two, is refreshing. I really enjoyed getting to know you two.
Same.
I really want to continue to have this friendship grow and continue down the road. We love to travel. We love to go places. We love to meet new people. But when we find those rare individuals, we want to stay with them and just kind of build your experiences, you build ours, hear your experiences, and we both have a unique platform to be able to stay in touch in that. And you're going to get text messages from time to time like, oh my God, what are you guys doing this weekend? So if you could just leave us with one thing before we exit, anyone that is listening to us, of course, we're going to ask you to share how people get a hold of you. So before I ask my question, could you tell our listeners, where do we find you? How do we reach out to you?
We are on every podcast platform. Hump Day Quickies. If you search Hump Day, it should pop up. If you search Swingers or Lifestyle, actually it's Swingers and Swinger that we end up in the top handful there. It's a bunch of little feet. You'll notice it real quick. And then every social media, we have Hump Day Quickies again there. So
Awesome. And you also do have a hotline where people could share their stories. Will you please allow our listeners the opportunity to know that?
it's 844-4 Day, and that's a real phone number. And
Yes.
I'd tell you the numbers, but I'd have to look at a phone. But even your iPhone or whatever does have the letters on it. Just spell it out.
Just spell it.
844, then the number 4, Hump Day.
And that's for anyone wishing to share their stories with G and Nessa.
Absolutely.
And they listen to absolutely every message that comes across.
Yes, we
Multiple
do.
times.
Yes.
So please don't hesitate to reach out to them in any way. So my question before we end our show today, if somebody was going to want to step into the lifestyle, what would be your first recommendation? Would it be communication between the partners? Would it be laying everything on the table that people want? Do you have a piece of advice?
I would say, first and foremost, communication with your partner and just having an outright conversation about what you want and why, if this is a turn on or a fantasy, and then from there moving forward as each partner is comfortable in the situation and choosing where to go and how to start attempting to bring that into your life is something you both should agree on.
Share your fantasies and hold your partner's hand all the way through. Go at whatever speed they're open to go, and always go with the speed of the slowest partner.
Agreed.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
be open and honest about everything. Stories and communication that'll come between the two of you. Even if you start with past sexual experiences. And if you're hearing that and going, I don't know, I can't even think about you having sex with somebody else before me. You're probably going to have a hard time thinking about them having sex with somebody else with you.
In front of you.
Be open and honest with your partner, because if you can't be open and honest with your partner, you can't be open and honest with somebody else you're going to have sex with randomly.
Or even yourself.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
find in a lot of those situations. Yeah. Good advice.
Of course, we also do allow everyone the understanding that you don't have to play when you go to these places.
No.
You don't have to participate in other events that may be taking place. Just
and no is always acceptable.
no is always acceptable. Anytime for any reason, no explanation necessary.
We know so many people that come to the club just to be in a sexy environment where they can dress in a sexy outfit and walk around, and the husband enjoys just the looks that the wife gets. And they never play with anybody. I've seen a lot of couples that never even talk to anybody but themselves. They keep to themselves, but they will walk around, take in the environment, and either go in a room by themselves or take that energy back home and just enjoy that.
I do think removing some of those taboos towards the lifestyle, that this isn't you're just going to go and you have to.
Right.
You know, you make this journey what you want it to,
Yeah.
and that you and your partner agree upon. And there's nobody out there that can force you to do anything. It's your consent or it's your no. There is no in between.
And, you know, typically, too, there's no fucking fishbowl. You don't have to give up your keys. You keep your keys in your purse.
Although we desperately want to host a key party.
He wants to. So.
You know, honestly, that could be a lot of fun.
Honestly, it could be a lot of fun.
Like, I can be down for that.
The way I see it working is that key is the first step in an area that has lots of rooms, and then things progress from there.
I think that's
I would come to
phenomenal.
your key party. Probably more than once. If I know me.
So I'd like to take this time and just say thank you so much, you two.
Yeah, thank
You've
you
been
guys.
phenomenal to know. Amazing to spend an evening with. And I look forward to our relationship as we move forward.
Same.
Thank you again for joining us here today.
Very much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
And thank you for allowing us to go remote in your Sexpartment.
Yeah.
This is
Anytime.
amazing. I enjoyed it.
On location.
So you're so politically correct about saying that we would love to fuck you guys. I love that.
It's a very long-winded way
I
to
know,
say
it's
that,
like-
but that's okay. We understand.
You
I use my words.
He gets a Hallmark card, you know. You guys get a fortune cookie from me. P.S. Want to fuck some more?
And to quote Nessa, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.